Hey friends, Dr. Harry Caritas here from the Medicine Rack, and we've got a fantastic, absolutely fantastic show for you today because we're going to talk about fear and about crushing your fear. I'm very lucky, and we are very lucky to have Michael Power on our show today. He's an author, speaker, and the host of Crushing Your Fear podcast. He's an entrepreneur who has started multiple revenue generating companies from both in the US and in Europe, and he's learned to conquer fear through leaving the past behind, learning from it, and adopting gratitude and a positive outlook for the future. He's got a phenomenally popular podcast called Crushing Your Fear, where he talks about different areas and specifically different areas in society that we can kind of flesh out the manipulation and empower you to overcome your fear. So without ado, Michael, welcome to the show. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Harry. I appreciate you having me on.
I appreciate you. And as you know, we're talking a little bit just offline a little bit about this concept of fear, because this is a topic that interests me an incredible amount. And I know it interests many of our listeners because many of them are in healthcare. Many of them are, nurses, doctors, firefighters, paramedics. And a part of us maybe thrives on this fear, but I think ultimately leads to our burnout. So first, before we actually get into the nitty gritty of it, I'd like to hear a little bit about your background, and our listeners want to hear about your background and how you came to where you are right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just going through life, unfortunately I was divorced twice, but I have three beautiful girls, and, I've been through ups and downs in my life. And the latest episode of an entrepreneurship is kind of just going for it, and if you have to fail in order to succeed. And a lot of people don't understand that if they say they want to go for it and then they don't. But one of the reasons why they don't go for that next step or take that leap is because of fear. I found myself, I was married, I had three beautiful girls, I had a house. I started a business on the side, and then that became my main business, and everything was going great in the beginning. And then, as time went on, my competition quintupled, and the packaging that I had my product in became obsolete. So my whole business model kind of started crumbling, and then the financial pressures just escalated quickly. And then, my ex-wife couldn't take it, and she took the kids and left. So I ended up with no house. The house was gone, was sold. The family left, the kids, no more wife, another ex-wife. And then I had my business, but where I ended up living was in my business, in my office, and it was in a strip mall. And I had an air mattress. So I found myself from a house with family and everything to an air mattress in a strip mall. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? What happened? What just happened? And then I had a lot of pressure coming in on me. I had a landlord that needed rent. I had a bank that needed their loan paid off. And then I had now child support on top of me. And that caused so much fear that it manifested itself physically through eczema. And I broke out with eczema all over my body. And I'm like, what is going on here? This is crazy, because I was pretty healthy. I have a pretty good immune system. I bounced back pretty quickly, but this is just something that I just didn't understand what was happening. I went to a dermatologist like once, twice, the third time, and I'm like, whatever you're giving me is not working. She did a biopsy. She's like, it's stress-induced eczema.
Yeah.
I'm like, stress-induced eczema. And then I talked to people about it. Oh yeah, that's normal. I'm like, it's not normal. This is not a normal thing. You can't have so much fear that it manifests yourself physically. And that's very bad for you. Like we were talking about beforehand, your heart, right? Constant fear, releasing those chemicals. It deteriorates your organs and your whole physique, and you're in a bad spot. So I had to kind of face it and say, okay, look, I can do one of two things. I can either go in a corner and say my life is over and just resign, or I could stand up, look at this fear in the eyes. And what I said to myself, I came up with a motto, and I said, Michael, let fear fear you. So you take control of fear. And we talked about it a little bit beforehand. I took control of that fear. I got the help I needed. I surrounded myself with great individuals like yourself, we're in Apex together. There's other groups out there like RTA. So I surrounded myself with those people, and they were able to pull me up, and I'm being pulled up to their level, and just kind of everything is pretty clear right now. I did 75 hard a couple times. I don't know if you've done it before, but that clears. Yeah, it's a great program where you can, you're off of the booze. You do 2 workouts a day.
Yeah.
You're reading every day. So it's a fantastic thing to get clarity. So I got a lot of clarity. And I'm like, I can't be the only one going through this, in terms of fear. And, I'm a man. I got married twice, divorced twice. There's kids, there's financial pressures. Let me see if I can, get some more answers for myself, but also help other people. So I started the podcast, the Crushing Your Fear podcast.
Yeah.
And we got great guests on. They've experienced a lot of fear, and they've overcome it. We've had, all kinds of people, from extreme skiers to individuals who are about to commit suicide, and they've overcome that fear. And I've learned so much in the past. I have over 100 episodes. I'm almost on episode 110, that I wrote a book.
Yeah.
It's called Crushing Your Fear, and that book will be coming out within the next month or two. We're putting the final touches on it. And if I can help one person with that book, I'm okay, but I want to help millions.
Yeah.
I'm going to help millions.
Yeah.
So that's my story in terms of how fear came into my life and what I'm doing about it.
Mm-hmm. And you've said so many nuggets in there. I think fear your fear. Have fear. Tell again, Michael. Fear. I want fear to fear me. Is that right? Is that right?
Let fear fear you.
Fear you. Love it. Love it. That's powerful. But another thing that you mentioned down there that I thought was incredible, Michael, is surrounding yourself with people who will uplift you. Surround yourself with winners. Surround yourself with people who you will lift up and they will lift you up. And that's one thing that, especially us in healthcare, we struggle with, because we suffer, many of us in medicine suffer in solitude. They suffer in silence. And it's so important to have, folks like you who put out that, yeah, I've gone through what you've gone through and I understand your struggles, but we're going to move on. We're going to move on and we're going to do it anyway. And there's so much negativity around fear. And as we were talking a little bit offline, there's this push, I think, in medicine, and maybe even in some professional societies as well too, that fear is important. Fear may be good. We could even use the military, I think, as an example as well too. They really push that, is you have to have this, what they call a healthy level of fear. Talk to us a little bit about that. Is fear good?
Fear is, yes, it can be good in certain situations, when you let the fear consume you and worry all the time. And you see, fear comes from it's the amygdala in the brain, right? I think it's about the size of a golf ball, if not a little bit smaller. It's not very big,
yeah.
right? But that amygdala causes that fight or flight response, right?
Yeah.
And that stemmed from, ancient times and caveman times, when, when you have a tiger or a dinosaur chasing you, you got to get the heck out of the way. And what it does is it kind of stimulates your body and your organs, and it releases chemicals into your body, floods your body with chemicals, where everything is just rapid and increased. Your senses, your eyesight, your hearing, and you just take off, right? But that is a mechanism that protects you. But unfortunately, there's a lot of triggers that happen to people, and it maybe something that happened in the past to them. And then what they do is they take the past event and they bring it into the present. Maybe they hear a sound, maybe somebody said a certain thing a certain way, a situation is going a certain way, and they already projected what the outcome's going to be. And that's not the right answer. I mean, you have to let the things play out. And 9 times out of 10, fear is created by just thoughts, right? Thoughts that come into our heads, and we create things, right? And if we live in the past and bring it into the present or into the future, you're not really helping yourself.
Yeah.
So fear is good in terms of fight or flight response. All right, there's a dinosaur there, or there's a bus coming, I better get out of the way. But fear, it can be good as well, because like we had extreme skier on the podcast, right?
Mhm.
Um, she went off of cliffs, like it's a no fall zone. Like you fall, you're done.
Yeah.
But she did that for like 10 years, but she embraced the fear. She took the fear and used it as energy, and that's what I tell people as well. Like you got fear, everything we have around us, there is a universe, there is a God, I believe. And there's a lot of energy that comes in, and either you can take that energy and have it channel in as negative energy, or you can take that energy and rechannel it, repurpose it, and do something very positive. I had one gentleman who was on the podcast. He was going to kill him. We had a couple of people on the podcast that were just on the brink of suicide. He was going to kill himself. He had a bottle of pills. He said, "This is the way I'm going to kill myself." Um, and he took the bottle, and all of a sudden he got scared. Fear. That fear stopped him from
Yeah.
taking that medication and killing himself. And he said, "What am I doing?" And at that moment, he's like, I got to stop. And that was kind of his pivot in life to kind of get into a better spot. Now he's doing fantastic today. But that's what I would say. Fear is good at certain times.
One thing that makes you unique, Michael, is I know in a lot of stuff that you've been writing and a lot of your podcasts, you talk about mindset a bunch. Talk about that. Talk about mindset as it relates to fear, or maybe more importantly, crushing fear.
Mindset, I mean, you have to get yourself right first. A lot of people say, "Oh, I can't care about myself. I have to care of other people." Um, you have to get your mindset and your whole being in order first before you can help others, right? I mean, some of the things I do every day, I do meditation every day. I do a vision, like I have a vision board, but I have it on my phone, and I have
Yeah.
pictures on my phone that I want to see my future to be, right? People that I love in my life. And this all that stuff is great stuff that comes into yourself, and it creates a great mindset. Gratitude is fantastic, right? You're
Mhm.
feeling down, you're feeling bad. Write 5 things down that you have gratitude for. I'm alive, I'm breathing, I have a house, I have clothes, right? I have running water. One of the guys I met, he used to live in Nigeria. He didn't have running water. I mean, he had to go down to the river and get a bucket of water. That's how he got water to his family. I mean, we go to a sink and we turn a faucet on. I mean, we're very fortunate. So the things like that nature can take that negative stuff, and then, you can't do both at once. So if you have practice gratitude, you get yourself in a better mindset, and you move forward, and you can help others that way.
And that's, I think, really at the heart of it, is to try to be of service to others. And I think you'll start noticing that through service to others, that fear starts melting away. One of the other things that you kind of touched on a little bit, and I'd like to pull on that thread a little bit more, are some of your daily things. So what would you tell somebody who is, struggling with this, who's struggling with, I'm, fearful to try something new. You mentioned earlier about entrepreneurship. That's surely a roller coaster. If anything, I'm fearful to take, that next big step. What are some things that somebody can do on a day-to-day thing to help, just change that? Again, you're clicking the clock just a little bit. You're clicking that dial just a little bit to get you from, where you are to really where you want to be. And I think that'd be really helpful for us.
Well, I think first of all, if you have to look at your overall existence, your health, your mental health, and also your physical health, and if both of them are lacking, or you want to improve them, you got to start moving.
Yeah.
Start moving every day, even if you go for a walk. Right? I do a lot of walking, but that's great. I put my earphones on. I listen to podcasts. I listen to books. But I'm also outside. The sun is beautiful. Right? You have fresh air, but you get out and clear your head, right? And then
Mhm.
a lot of times, if you want to do something, you're not sure, a lot of thoughts come to you that way, and solutions, right? So it's just you sitting there or taking a walk, right? And just, playing in your head what you're thinking about doing, a lot of solutions come to you. Also, what I do is I meditate. Meditation doesn't have to be like full blown, om and all this stuff.
Mhm.
what you can do is set your phone for a 10-minute timer. Okay. I do this during the day a couple times. I just put it down 10 minutes and I just sit there. I sit there and I think about what's happening in my life, what kind of emotions are going through. You know, I feel that energy coming in. This energy in the universe is definitely there. It's coming in. Positive stuff, right? Where you can get answers from as well. And also, you mentioned it before, surrounding yourself with the right people.
Yeah.
Anybody who's successful, if you have an idea, they're not going to blast you or say that's ridiculous. They're going to start helping you, right? You get in front of the people that have done it, right? Like I have a coach now, where I want to build a brand, right? The Crushing Your Fear brand. So I'm learning a load from her because she's done it, right? I'm surrounding myself with people like that, so that I can learn from them and then go forward. I don't know how to build a brand, but I'm learning. And that's what you need to do too. You have to surround yourself with people that can help you in your journey. If you have ideas, you got to just talk to people.
Yeah.
And if they slam you down, if they start saying, you're never going to do that, you got a job, stop dreaming, you need to get those people out of your life, or just don't talk to them. If they're relatives, you see them, you have to see them at Christmas or whatever, it's fine. But you don't have to spend a lot of time with them, right? And you got to find, and we talk about in Apex, the family of choice, right? There's your biological family, which is great. And if they understand, my family pretty much thinks I'm crazy. But I have my Apex people who are like, yeah, let's go, And I talk to them and I'm like, yeah, like, that's awesome. Let's do it. So you have to find your family of choice and the people that kind of resonate with you and support you.
One thing that I've always trying to espouse is I always want to be the hardest worker at whatever I'm trying to achieve. And the reason why I do that is I'm always in the back of my brain, there's a great quote, and I think that's on YouTube as well, from Grant Cardone. And he always tells you there's always going to be people who criticize you. I'm paraphrasing this, of course, but he's like, there's always going to be people who are going to criticize on you. There's always going to be people who are going to hate on you. But he's like, for those of you who don't know Grant Cardone, you should Google him. He is an incredible real estate investor, an incredible entrepreneur, but he's got a style that sometimes rubs people the wrong way. And he says, there are a lot of people who hate on me. There are a lot of people who criticize me, but I've never been criticized by anybody who's been doing more than me. And I always love that, and it's always kind of stayed with me. He's like, and Grant Cardone, I don't know him personally, but he is hustling, and not in a bad sense. He is hustling. He's working, and he's always working in that, not so much the physical work, but he's always building his brand. He's always building something, and he's surrounding himself with people. But that always kind of stays with me. I've never been criticized by anybody who's been doing more than me. And I love that. I always keep that in the back of my brain. If I'm true to myself and I'm really doing the work to grow personally and professionally, then I have to be putting in the work. And if I'm getting criticism, and I do, and I'm sure you do as well, I don't let it bother me. I don't let it bother me at all, because I know what my true is. But you had mentioned something earlier about some of your daily things and meditating. Are you do you espouse journaling? Do you journal every day, or is that something you haven't found?
I do, actually. I do. I've been, I'm in a new coaching program, and one of the things that I haven't done in the past that they're like, you need to do this every day, is journaling. And I write down 5 things that I'm grateful for in the morning, right? I have my gratitude. And in the evening, I write down my wins, and I write down successes, which would mean, how have I improved as a person? 5 things, right? So journaling, writing it down. There's also a technique called write and burn, where if you're really upset at somebody or a certain situation, get a piece of paper, take 10 minutes, and just write. Doesn't matter what comes out. It could be I've written very evil stuff, like really bad. I read it again, I'm like, what the hell am I thinking about? But this is stuff that's going to help you, because you just get it out. And then what you do with that piece of paper is you read it, and then you just rip it up. Or you burn it. It's even better, but I don't have a lot of stuff to burn stuff in. But One other point I wanted to touch upon, I didn't really, I talked about 75 hard in the beginning, and what that does is kind of get you into a routine. You need to get into a daily routine. You can't just go for a walk and then a month later go for another walk. If you're going to go for a walk, you're going to do it every day. You're going to get up in the morning, first thing, okay? And take care of yourself first thing. Don't wait until 10 o'clock or wait till the afternoon, because that'll never happen. You get inundated with whatever. Get up an hour earlier, do some meditating, get outside or do some workout, right? Drink a lot of water, and then you're ready for your day. And then you can start your day.
It's the day to day. And, you know, we talk on our podcast a bunch. We do have a morning and an evening routine. That's standard for us. We book in our days like that. And one thing I always tell people, and you mentioned it as well too, is we have to kind of focus on being consistent, not so much perfection on what you do in the morning, what you do in the evening, but it has to be the same, right? You know, you can't just work out 90 days on a Sunday and you're good for the week. It has to be, you know, 15, 20 minutes a day for 7 days. So it's very, very different. You can't, in the world of medicine, eat an apple a day keeps a doctor away. We can't eat 7 apples on Sunday. You have to do the work.
I got my weekly quota, right?
No, you have to do the work every single day.
Well, that's what keeps you motivated, but it also ingrains some good habits within you. If you got some bad habits, it's a way to just kind of get rid of. So exercise is fantastic for everything. You know, your mindset, your body, you know, your outlook on life. It just changes everything. So, I mean, you don't have to go powerlifting. You can go for a walk, like I said, but just do it every day.
Yeah. And it's really just movement. It's really just movement. I mean, we sit in these chairs far more than we need to, for sure. And it's just movement. And for me, I get it done in the beginning of the day. So I get it done every single day, every single morning, but I know I get it done, and it's just become part of my morning routine. And we recently moved to another area here in the Chicagoland area, and it's got a bunch of hills, and I love biking. And I was actually out there this morning, and I'm going up these hills, and I'm talking to myself like, I hate these hills, but I love these hills, and all in the same breath, because it's such a challenge, but it makes me sweat. And I always try to tell this to my family, my kids, and to my community, is I want to be breathless at least once a day, and that's just a reminder to me to get out there, get my body moving. It doesn't have to be something very specific. If you're training for something, fantastic, but I just have to get out there and walk, run, bike, row, whatever it is. I have to get it done. And it's just amazing, Michael. It's just amazing on what it does to the mind, to the mindset. You know, when you're in that mode, and sometimes, I have to go for a walk in the evening after a rough shift, just because it just clears your mind. It absolutely clears your mind, more so than I've found anything else. I love journaling. I do it every single day, morning and night. I love meditating. I love praying. I do that morning and night, every single day, but nothing replaces movement and getting your body moving and becoming breathless. There's just something in it that can never be replaced.
Moving is very good. Now I've done 3 marathons already. I'm going to do another marathon this year. So that's one of my things. It stemmed from originally like, I want to try running. So I did a 5K, and then that went into a 10K. Then I did a half marathon. Then I started, after the second divorce, I'm like, all right, I needed something like to focus in on. And I started doing the marathon. So now I do one every year. But it is a goal. And that's another thing, that your listeners and viewers can think about, is setting goals, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you got a goal, and like we talk about daily steps, right? You don't have to leap into that goal, and you're probably not going to leap and hit that goal. You're going to have to do daily steps, but making progress, move the needle towards that goal.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing with training for a marathon. I got my marathon. It's set at the end of October. In July, I got my program starting. So it's going to be like 5 miles today, 7 miles another day, 10, and it's going to increase and then taper back and then increase and taper back. My last run will be 22 miles,
right.
And then when I run the marathon, that's 26 miles. But it's the same thing. It's just setting a goal and moving towards it, which is very important. But the only way you're going to do that is consistency, consistent action, positive action.
Yeah.
And you'll get there.
Well, Michael, phenomenal time. And this subject of fear and crushing your fear is an especially important one for us, especially here in healthcare, especially for us in healthcare over the past several years. This pandemic is something that we've never seen in our lifetimes, and hopefully won't see again in our current lifetime. But it's really, I think it's really opened up a lot of wounds that were probably already there for a lot of people. And we absolutely need people like you who focus on it, and focus on not only on it, you focus on crushing it with specific strategies. So where can we find you? Where can we learn a little bit more about you and some of the things that you talk about even more?
Yeah, but just mentioning the pandemic, I mean, you're right. I mean, the past 2 years have been, talk about fear, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the catalysts for me to get out there as well, start writing this book and start speaking to people, and just having them kind of look at all the alternatives, look at all the information. We don't know what's happening in society today. I'm not sure who to believe, right? I hear media, I hear this person, I hear that person. But the best thing is for you, the only thing you can control is yourself, right? The only thing you can control is yourself and your mind and your thoughts. So the way you can do that is take all the information in and make a rational decision. Don't make a decision because somebody else tells you that you need to do that, right?
Yeah.
Make a decision based on your own feelings and your own beliefs, right? And that's what I'm doing to get out there. If they want to get a hold of me, I am at you can check out my website, crushingyourfear.com. I'm at the Real Michael Power on Instagram. I have my Crushing Your Fear podcast. You're welcome to listen to it. And the website, you can send me an email if you like a chat. I'd love to talk to you. I'm looking to get on stages and just preach about fear. So if there's any opportunities, if you want me to get in front of your group, I'd love to come by and if there's any way I can help you, please let me know.
And you've got a book coming out, hopefully
The
in the
book
next
will
month
be
or
out.
so.
Yeah, Crushing Your Fear. It's in the final stages. I'm working with the publisher. We got the editing is pretty much wrapped up. We just got to design the interior, exterior, whatever. I've never written a book before, but she's guiding me through this, and we're going to launch it, probably in a month or two. All the information will be on the website. I'll post it on Instagram, and I'll be talking about it on my podcast. Actually, what I'm doing, I'm taking a chapter a week, and I'm just kind of going through each chapter and kind of summarizing what's happening, so people get an idea of what the book's going to be about.
I think that's fantastic. Michael, thanks for your time. And again, if you're on your morning run, morning walk, morning workout, I'll make sure I'll include all those links on the show notes that accompanies the podcast. So just make sure you check that out so you can reach out to Michael and get more of his stuff, and make sure you subscribe to his podcast because it's pretty powerful. So if you want to hear more about it, Michael Powers. And again, I'll put those links in the podcast. And Michael, it's been an incredible time today. Thank you for your time. I know you're very, very busy, but thanks for taking some time out of your schedule to talk with us.
No, thank you. I appreciate being on.
All right, we'll talk again soon. Bye-bye.
Okay, take care.